When it comes to installing a coating system, there are several useful tools that can improve application methods and improve coating performance. These tools are inexpensive and often overlooked. Today, we will discuss the use of wet mill gauges, dry mill gauges, and optical comparators. There are two types of tests when applying coatings to be aware of. Wet film thickness, which is the measurement of the amount of coating you are applying, and dry film thickness, which is the thickness of the cured coating. Paying attention to these values can save time and money when it comes to project closeout by reducing the need for follow-up visits to correct coating thickness deficiencies. Wet mill gauges are used to monitor the film thickness of applied coatings. These gauges have graduated notches along the outside edge. Notice in the picture that the notch for 35 mils is longer than the notch for 80 mils. Understanding the required wet mill thickness and periodically checking with a wet film gauge will help to ensure the coating thickness will meet the requirements of the specification. Dry film thickness will vary based on the solids content of the coating. If the proper wet mill was applied, the proper dry film should be achieved. There are various dry film gauges for checking cured coating thickness on metal panels. A digital gauge, such as the one pictured, can measure dry film thickness on both ferrous and non-ferrous metal panels. Digital gauges can also be calibrated in the field versus analog gauges that need to be returned to the manufacturer for recalibration. It is important to calibrate the dry film gauge prior to use and to recalibrate as needed. Digital gauges will include films and metal discs to calibrate against a known film thickness. To use this type of digital gauge, locate the probe and place it against the coated metal panel. The gauge will display the dry film thickness, in this case 36.5 dry mils. Dry film thickness can also be determined on non-metal substrates with the use of an optical comparator. Optical comparators are small handheld microscopes. When looking into the comparator, the reference film will have graduated points. Be sure you are using a reference film designed for dry film measurements. Looking at the small sample edge through the optical comparator will allow you to align the sample with the appropriate marking to determine dry film thickness. In this case, our sample measured 50 mils. In summary, proper coating film thickness is key to proper coating performance and identified in the specifications. Using a wet mill gauge during application and confirming dry film thickness with either a digital gauge or optical comparator can reduce costly return visits to your project to correct coating film deficiencies. Thank you for taking the time to review our Uniflex Tools of the Trade presentation.